Give it a few minutes. Let people get here before I hit play. Intro's there. 10-ish seconds. Guess we'll get through the intro. Here you go. Okay, that seems like a good pause point. Just give it like a minute or two. Yeah, patch notes day, always exciting. Always exciting. There's not actual patch notes, right? We just got the video. I don't even... Does the front page of Plague Went not even have a news link anymore? What happened to this website? Where did it go? I know all the changes. I know some of them, not all of them. You have an hour to find this after you... Well, I knew to just search Plague Went in the YouTube search. I'm surprised YouTube didn't recommend the video. Yeah. Huge girls. I thought it was a pretty impactful patch. We'll see. Okay, I'm hitting play.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's dev stream, and my name is Ryan. I'm a community specialist at CD Projekt Red for Gwent the Witcher card game, and today I'm joined by none other than Jean, our latest addition in the game designer department. So
new people.
Welcome, Jean.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Ryan.
Nice to see you too. Good to have you with me.
It's weird not having Slama on the panel.
Talk about a lot of changes. And before everyone asks, Burza is still around, and he's in the background creating some special content with Jason for you, so don't worry. He's working his magic, and that means that today, Jean and I will be covering all the changes coming with the update tomorrow, 8.2 it is. And yeah, I think before we do that, quick reminder that Alzo's journey is about to end.
A lot.
So today is the last day. And tomorrow we will see someone new. Who will it be? I don't know. Maybe I do know. Maybe I won't. But yeah, we'll all find out tomorrow together. So make sure to get that next reward tier while you still can. And I think that's it. Let's jump into the changes. People have seen a couple of familiar faces or cards over the last 2 months reappearing, so I think they are eager to know what has changed, and I think we'll start off with the neutral cards and then we'll tackle everything faction by faction, if you're good with that.
All good.
Perfect, then let's do that. I think we'll start with neutral cards, and the first change that I think we should talk about is our opinion on lock cards, right?
Yes, absolutely. So with the 8.0, we've made a buff to Alba Armored Cavalry, 1 power and 1 armor buff. And we've been very happy about the impact it had and the spot in which Alba Armored Cavalry landed. And so the result of it is that we decided for the 8.2 to make an overall buff to all of the locks card, which previously were bit underwhelming, and hope that they're gonna be better tech cards.
They're buffing the neutral locks too.
So
They
I
just
think
want
the first
walkover all
one
the better.
is Aguara.
I thought the
quick
Albert Armored Cavalry buff
provision,
was more like
buff.
specifically
No, it only costs 8 provision. That's really nice.
to make lock good with
The other
Nilfgaard.
one would be our monster friend Dorgray. He's now a 6 for 6, very efficient from a 7 for 5.
Damn.
No, 5 for 7 before. So that's I think
That's
that's a really good addition.
that's
The
significant.
next, I think, neutral group that we tackled were bombs. I mean, they
Wait,
have
that's like-
seen some.
It's kind of cool for like Gurney decks. That's a pretty efficient interactive tool. Triggers thrive really well. Like Gurney, probably relevant for like Woodland Spirit too. Hey, Monte.
Yay.
Thanks for the tier 1. Thanks for the 8 months. Welcome back.
Some gameplay now with Madoc being in the game, which is really cool. But I think overall, they still are a bit on the weaker side.
Yeah, absolutely. We're quite happy about the way Madoc is currently played, though we're still
Dancing Star to 4P. That's a much better Samum a lot of the time.
keeping an eye on it with this addition in some ST decks. And some bombs are played, but not all of them. And some bombs in the game are still very, well, terrible. And so we decided
Dancing
to
Star
change
is
a
pretty
few.
terrible.
Make them less terrible. So dancing.
Exactly.
As long as they're
Star is
buffing
now
the bad
4 provision.
bombs and not the ones that are
That's
currently
always
seeing
nice to
play.
see,
I like all these
very
changes.
efficient. And we've got the Demetrium. Wait, that's not Demetrium. Demetrium. That's how you spell it. And the Demetrium bomb is also 4 provision, but it was 4 provision, but now it damages by 4, right?
That's a lot
Yes.
better too.
That's it. It still gives Veil, so
An extra
also
point
nice
on
tech
that
card.
Meridian Bomb is huge.
And the last bomb we've got.
It's just,
is
wait, it's just a neutral deal 4 now? I guess a bunch of factions have deal 4s, but... Huh. Veil could be a bit of a downside.
Red Haze. Still
Sure.
great
Which got,
artwork.
yes, and it got a provision buff from 5 down to 4.
Also got a little bit cheaper. Nice.
4P bombs are really good with Matic. Just in general. So, Dimeridian Bomb plays as a 7 for 4 with Matic in your deck, assuming the Matic doesn't get answered. Red Haze is like clunky enough that I don't think it matters. If you have a 3, then Dancing Star plays for 8. Wait, these are just your 4P cards. You could probably build a Matic deck that's just playing Matic for 4Ps. Huh.
Do you also want to talk about Vedamaker in that?
Yeah, it's another card we change while having Madoc, but more generally Weather in Mind. And it's got changed from a 5 for 7 to a 6 for 6.
So Matic.
6 for 6 is a nice trend, I would say.
Are they just not gonna... Wait. So if you have a Matic in play, you play Vadermerker. It's a 9 for 6 immediately? Sort of immediately? Because the Cataclysm Zero effect, right? And it's just whenever...
6 for 6.
Oh, no, deploy. I thought this was whenever a row effect started. Okay, never mind. A lot less
So
exciting.
6 for 6 is a nice trend, I would say. A few more neutral cards that were changed. Maxi van der Kar is now 5 provision, so I think it's our first 5 provision unit, gold unit, right?
Exactly,
Matic
and
and
we think
yeah,
that's
but you don't like get more value later. It's just a 9 for 6. Or maybe a 12 for 6. It's not like every time Matic comes back, you're getting an extra turn on your Cataclysm from Vader.
very interesting, and we hope that this new slot might
Oh, am I in the wrong category? Oh. I get it now. That's why you're talking about Cuphead.
make it interesting to run as a tech card.
Yeah. Then we've got
yeah,
Regis,
Magic seemed like they got,
who's got a
pretty
small
nicely buffed.
power
If
buff
only
from
because of
2
the
to
4P
3.
bombs.
We've got Scorch, which is now 1 provision cheaper, 11 provision now. Then we've got Yennefer of Vengerberg, which is now only 10 provision. And Yennefer Conjurer has now added Zeal, so you can at least get that 1 zap of the heist card off. And it's also now only costing 9 provision, which is really nice.
Yes.
There's one
WinCon might be a
last
WinCon now.
neutral card we can cover, and that is
Maybe he's
Xavier.
with Breaking Devotion. It shouldn't be.
Yes.
There he is, our known friend of the Thronebreaker saga game,
Oh,
which is now also
that's cool.
gotten Zeal, and it's been switched around a bit. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about it.
Yes. So Xavier used to be this card which on deploy would banish up to 3 cards from your open
Threatening
graveyard.
the graveyard for the rest of the round.
It was also 8 provision.
Hyper meta.
And the problem with it was that it was highly polarizing.
Huh.
In some matchup, it could be a really interesting card to run.
Expensive squirrel.
Most of the time, it was.
It's a squirrel every turn.
By making it cheaper, but also having
Depends what you're trying to do with
fold
Xavier.
effect, we
If there's
hope
just
to
one
make it
card
a
you
more
want to
reasonable
banish,
tech
then
card
yeah,
that
it's a
might
6
run
power
instead of
squirrel.
Squirrel, for instance. And we are also giving your opponent some way to interact with it before you can banish his entire graveyard.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Another good
Vipers do
6
this for
for
free.
6
A big problem
I
with
see a trend
Viper
here.
when you're not making a ton of Vipers is that you
alright.
can't banish their
I think it
graveyard and
is
your
time
carryover never
to
comes
talk
out.
about the bug in the room, our favorite centipede, called a Vi.
Like the biggest difficulty
Or
about
V?
playing Viper
Who knows? Who knows? Oh,
is just making sure that it actually comes out before the game is over. Yeah, it's not about getting Viper out faster, it's about getting Viper out at all. Okay, so they hit both sides of this. 7 for 14. Nothing changed? I wouldn't say nothing changed. A 1 power nerf to Vi is like 7 points off the deck. The 2 provs... probably less relevant. I don't think it shouldn't mean you have to cut a tutor. You probably just like downgrade Barbagazzi to a 4P.
I actually don't own it right here. You see, I don't play Vi. There it is. It's out.
Yeah, I mean if other stuff happens too.
But yeah, we switched it around a bit. But I think you told me that
Hungry.
there's one card or like one effect where you want to cover first before we go
Yes.
in depth about Vi. But
It's not 1 point though. It's 1 point on every Vi you play.
like a
it
small
happens plenty of
spoiler, but
times.
We'll talk about it more. But first, let's talk.
You play
about
3
the
Vis in a round,
monsters
you lose
of
3
this one.
points.
Yes. So we made a change to Overwhelming Hunger. It's
It matters
Nice
especially
here.
for like winning round 1.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what
Going
we
for
did,
the
yeah.
2-0 in round 2.
so we changed Overwhelming Hunger to only have 2 charges instead of 3. And we made a buff to the Ekimera token, which was changed to 2 powers from 2 powers to 3 powers.
In round 3, probably not much. But in round 1, round 2, you'll lose your 2-0 by a couple points a lot. Okay, what's going on?
And we also made a 1 provision buff to Overwhelming Hunger.
Can we get
Now
a...
the reason we're doing this
There's no image
is
for this?
historically Overwhelming Hunger.
Wait.
All right, let's
This-
talk about it. Let's talk about.
It's
Oh, but they have 3 charges. So it's 2 charges. Ekimaras are 3 power. Hunger goes to 16. The fundamental problem with the deck was not addressed. The fundamental problem with the deck was that it was too strong. That's the only fundamental problem with it. You wholly disagree, then we're just not going to agree. don't think they wanted to change the essence of the deck. I think they just wanted to make it not as powerful. If more decks have the ability to 2-0 Hunger, or the ability to 2-0 Vi, like Witches does, I think that's a success for them. Just giving decks a plan against Vi should be the goal. Not completely changing the way the Vi deck plays. This is also huge. That's one less real consume. One less free consume. Feels like Hunger got nerfed for Vi. Sorta. I mean, so the best monsters deck before Vi was also a Hunger deck. I could see they just feel like they designed themselves into a corner with the leader. Like, they tried to make the Frost archetype with Master Mirror, and then ended up being that Hunger was just the leader that played Frost. They printed Vi. Vi wanted Hunger. Like what, you've got Carapace when you want to be playing engines. You've got Force of Nature if you want to do Koschei Thrive. But I could see the argument that just like Hunger was bullying out the other monsters' leaders. Just a little too low on the deck building cost for what it allowed you to do. Deck was not anywhere as good now. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. They buff any cards for Frost monsters? I don't know. Crimson Curse got buffed. Crimson Curse did get buffed. I like that. I like that. Did they not change Crimson Curse though? So wait, Crimson Curse in Arrakis Swarm plays for 7 tempo and 5 turns of Blood Moon? Crimson Curse in general plays for 6 tempo. That card can't be that bad. It just can't be. It's so many points. Consumed, so you need more setup. Yeah, I mean, that's another way you could have nerfed Vi. It just depends what they want out of the card. I don't hate this approach. The base power nerf's not irrelevant. The provisions nerf is a little more irrelevant. The Hunger nerf is pretty big. You can interact
Long
with the
time
consumers.
no see, Mr. Etrinit 123. How's the Gwont been?
Hey, thanks for the 23 months. Welcome back, Salvashay. Can't complain. Can't complain. Yeah, but like Hunger only having 2 charges means you have 1 fewer guaranteed consume. So you get 1 free consume off of the Barghest from Haunt. You get 2 from the leader. And every other consume is interactable. I don't know, it's like a softer way of the consume nerf on Vi. I don't know how often you're going to win with Vi with only 3 consumes if you can interact with all the consumes. I'm sure they wouldn't have nerfed Overwhelming Hunger instead of more Vi cards if they didn't have a problem with Hunger in general. And it makes sense that they would have a problem with Hunger in general, just based on what the best monsters decks have been for the last 8 months. Hunger, I don't know, we'll see. I haven't gotten that far yet.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we did, yeah.
Kelly's
So we
Hunger.
changed
Well, I
Overwhelming
acknowledge
Hunger to
Kelly is
only
something
have
completely
2
different.
charges instead of 3, and we made a buff to the Ekimera token, which was changed to 2 powers from 2 powers to 3 powers, and we also made a 1 provision buff to Overwhelming Hunger.
Was there
Now
an
the
unreasonable
reason we're
deck
doing
to
this
Look,
is
you guys are trying to
historically,
spoil me.
Overwhelming
Let's
Hunger
just
has
talk to
been,
things about as we get to them.
non-interactive card, and in design it has limited us in what we could do in terms of Death Wishes, and of course
Yeah,
the
they're explaining
apparition
it.
of V has made it very clear how uninteractive it was. So removing this 1 charge allows us to make it, well, more interactive.
It's an old
and,
account, man.
opens up space in terms of what we can do in Death Wishes, etc.
Yeah.
Buffing the Ekimera. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Buffing the Ekimeras allows us to also keep the power level exactly the same, and we counteracted the fact that you have 1 less charge by increasing the provision.
Yeah. So to recap, Overwhelming Hunger now only has 2 charges. The Ekimara that does get spawned is a little bit stronger, and this means we are now able to increase the power level of Death Wish cards because they can't basically be cheated all the way 3 times now. Yeah, I think it's a good change. Makes it a bit more flexible to not the effect itself, but the death.
Real quick, addressing Justice. So the problem with Justice is it was 3 slots in every ST deck that always did the same thing in every deck. It's the same reason why they nerfed like Silver Witchers 2 years ago. It doesn't do anything particularly on theme for any of the ST decks. It's just so powerful that you have to play it.
Wish archetype.
Not really
Now
the
back
type
to
of
the
card
monster.
that they want in the game.
We got
Yes.
Vi here. It lost a point, so it's now only 7 points at the start, and it costs 2 more provisions. So I guess you can retract 1 provision because Overwhelming Hunger.
Yeah, I don't know
now
what
is
they
15
changed
instead
it
of
to.
14. But it still
You
costs
changed
1
ST
more
overall?
in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else they
It's
did.
got 1 point less, and I think you already told me earlier. That means if you play Vi multiple times, obviously you always lose that 1 point. So in the end, it does make a bigger difference than it might seem, right?
Absolutely. You're usually gonna be playing V about 7 to 8 times in a game, which means a 7 to 8 point loss. And of course, the chance to Overwhelming Hunger directly hits the archetype by removing that 1 less instance.
They seem
of
very
an-
self-conscious about this Overwhelming Hunger
Yeah.
change.
That makes sense. Now, speaking of Death Wish, we've got a few more changes. We've got the Bridge Troll, which is now only 4 provision. That's really nice. The Harpy, its power got changed from 5 to 6. That is the token that is spawned by Harpy Egg. And we've got the Rot Fiend, which was changed from 4 to 5 power. And I think another card that also benefits from the
So Death
buff
Wish getting
to
an extra
Ekimeras
point.
is the Katakan, right?
Death Bronzes.
Yes.
This
Um,
guy.
So
Okay, so they buffed the Ekimara. So did they change Crimson Curse too?
Katakan lost 1 power. The thing is,
With Thrive,
with
it's
the buff
not
to
the most
Ekimera,
relevant,
its
but
overall value increased
it's a
by
little
2,
silly.
and we thought that it was a bit too much, which is why we took that 1 power off. Though you have to keep in mind that a lower base power means
This
that
is
it's
a
also
huge buff to
easier to trigger its
Katakan. I mean, how often do you consume Katakan? It's like you get like a Thrive point, right? Does it matter for anything else? It makes Katakan worse at proccing your Thrives. 6 is a relevant number. It's so easy to get to 5. I feel like Katakan would be at 6 for 9. Yeah, I sort of agree. I'm surprised they changed anything here. One of the big strengths of Katakan, like in Thrive decks, when you played it in Thrive decks, was they gave you your proc on 6. But even that's been sort of outdated since Alpha Werewolf got buffed. 11 for 9? Only if you're consuming it. A lot of the time, the decks that play Katakan don't want to consume it. Also, it's not 11 for 9 when you have to consume it. Because there's value that goes into like playing the consume card. Usually consumes are overcosted for what they do. Yeah, it's basically unchanged. Like 10, 6 or 6 neutrals with random effects now. Yeah, like Duragare sort of obsoletes this card too. Just in its old form. I don't know. Like, I've played Katakan in mid-rangey Haunt decks just to have an extra Haunt proccing gold when I wasn't playing Overwhelming Hunger to consume, like, Maruna Manticore. But, like, I haven't played Katakan for months. I don't think this would change anything.
Thrive. So it's less of a nerf than what it seems like. It's still the buff overall anyway.
Yeah, makes sense. I think with these Thrive cards, if you lower their base value, it doesn't necessarily make a huge difference unless it brings them into a certain removal range.
Card is also quite good.
Another card that got buffed with the indirectly with the Ekimura buff is also Blood Moon.
True. Blood Moon now also a little bit better. Next up, I would quickly cover Fuka. This is also...
We did it, Reddit. We memed it into existence. Well, after 2 years of saying X basically has Thrive 2, we finally get literal Thrive 2. So... No, it's not that bad. With Thrive 2, if you play a 5, this grows to 6, right? Thrive 2 is so fucking weird. Or is it like Thrive check twice? Like grow to 5, and then if you're still smaller, grow again? They might say something.
Gotten changed a little bit, right? So
Yes.
now it has a Thrive 2. It lost the armor. But I think overall, it creates a different kind of card, right, than you had first in mind.
Absolutely. We're definitely experimenting a bit.
It's
with
not
this
that
card.
bad. It's really
the
not that
previous
bad.
version definitely proved to be completely other.
It's not that it'll
overwhelming,
hit its ceiling
and
faster, it's
we
that
think
it'll hit a
that,
ceiling at all.
Thrive 2 might open up a whole other way of playing the card.
Yeah.
Like, it's a middle of the round Thrive card. You can go, like, in Dragalarva, into Bruxa, into Fuka. And it just grows so much faster. It'll actually get to 10 or 12 points or whatever for your Spear Tip or Yigern. I mean, it's worse than Larva. I don't think that's... It curbs better than Larva into Larva, I guess, because it actually procs your first Larva, but it's much easier to trade up with. Five Prov cards and monsters? Yeah. Like, it's the Andregalarva faction. Riders is probably a better card, generally. They're not gonna remove initiative from Scorch. They should not remove initiative from Scorch. Cards like Scorch are the reason initiative is a mechanic. It's huge with the location. The decks that want to play location aren't really the decks that want to play a Fuka, though. Are you going to play location in your Thrive deck? The big reason to play location is to get another Chimera, no? And the decks that play Chimera aren't proccing Thrive on Fuka? It's your big thing for next round if it's a Thrive down. Oh, I forgot about the stacking effect on the location. It's highest power, right? So it'll stack Deegan before Spear Tip, before like Goliath. I don't know. I remember right after Location came out, I played the Natal Units deck. And the Location not being a tutor for Azrael, or like Location not stacking Azrael, made it feel pretty bad. Because like Azrael's the main thing that you want to have just in round 3 and not before. It's the tall unit that you're mulliganing in round 1. Play Imlereth to proc Thrive on Fuka.
We've got 2 more small changes for the faction of monsters. We've got Eider, which got changed a bit. It's now 7 provision instead of 8. And we've got the Wild Hunt.
It's a cool change. This is... I've like thrown this card into Gurney decks just for value. Consume the fruit, get a token. Procs Thrive really well.
And Hound, which got
I don't know about like build around Itter decks, but just like as a card,
4.
plays for nice points.
Is there anything else you want to say in regards to monsters, or shall we go ahead to the purple faction next?
All good, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a very old dev account.
As I said, purple is up next. Skellige on the menu. We've got another very popular card. I guess it depends who you ask, but Lippy Goodmund, very polarizing, and he got a slight nerf, I would say. Let's bring him up right here. He's now 3 points and
Power
11
Provision.
provision. So before he was 10 provision and 4 points. What do you think about it?
Well, Lippy has been very present in the leaderboard following the 8.0 release, since it got some really strong tools from the new expansion, and also got indirectly buffed since we buffed the provision of Roach and Knickers. And
don't underestimate
well,
one power
we're
buffs.
taking some of that power back.
Yeah, I think that's only
like it's not going to make
reasonable.
Lippy unplayable,
Another
but that's not the
card
goal.
That is often run by Skellige decks at the moment is the new location card, and this was really strong because not only did it give you
Lower the ceiling on Kaduk by 2,
with the card that you
totally
wanted to
reasonable.
spawn, like the other location artifacts, but also it had this heal adjacent units by 3 points ability before. Now it is only heal them by 2, so also a small buff to the Skellige
Card's still
faction
really
in that
good.
sense. Yeah, is there anything you want to add to that?
I don't know if Hunger is dead.
So Iron Kaduk is used to bring
Might
a lot
be,
of points
but-
quite easily. The minimum you could get from it was 8 points if you played Bear Witcher and you healed it, but you could very easily cap up to 14 points. Lowering down the heal to 2, this changes this value to 7 and 12. But there is actually a very small buff in this, which is a buff to self-wound decks. Because by only healing by 2, your Bear Witcher are not going to be fully healed, they're still going to be damaged, and so they're going to be counted for cards like Bear Witcher Mentor.
Interesting. So okay, so we might see it in
True.
a different archetype.
Not healing your things to full.
Than to see it in everything, basically.
Not usually much of a
we've got
problem because you
few
can just
more
hold off on the
small
Kuduk click. But
changes for Skelliger. We've got the Brokva Hunter,
nonetheless.
which is now, let's check it out. Brokva Hunter, there you are. You are now locked to the range row, so basically you can
I like
interact
that,
with it
I like
and
that.
stop him from pinging just by moving him to the melee row. And also, it's another skill cap, right?
Why
People
this
now
pinger
have
was
to
so much
actively
better
ping
than all the
the
other
right
pingers
row.
was a mystery to me.
It doesn't matter where they play. Another change, as we talked about, is to the faction-specific lock, which is Jengi.
Yeah, like it's
He
just
is
common
now
sense that it would be relocked.
7 power, right? Yeah.
Whoa.
7 power. He was 6 power.
Yes.
They swapped the provisions in
basically,
power.
The neutral lock is a clean 6 for 6, so this one got a little bit of a buff. I think that. No, we've got a few more changes. We've got Giant Ball.
That's a
His,
big change.
his
Hawks are
ranged
gonna be
ability is now
important.
also able to target allies.
Was it a 6 for 6?
And it's got a provision change from
That
7
was
to
a,
6.
yeah, I don't
which is
know.
nice.
It was a 6 or 7 at one
The
point.
Haymaid
It might have been buffed
Laminica
previously.
is now 6 power instead of 5. And we've got Heim and Olaf also getting small buffs. Heim is now only 7 provision, and Olaf got a power buff from 8 to 10. Ooh, I want to take a look at that big boy. I love
Big
Olaf.
boy.
Still no zeal for sword.
Solid
Whoa.
10.
Whoa. Still no zeal for elf and sword. Yeah, but I mean, elf is a better tag than beast. I mean, this is cute. I don't know if it matters. You can do the cute time combo.
For
10.
That looks good. Yeah, love Olaf. All right. Is there anything else you want to add to Skelliger at this point?
All good for me.
That's it. All right. I think. Yeah. Let's talk about Northern Realms next.
right.
First of all, we've got a provision bonus change for Pincer Maneuver. Pincer Maneuver now gets 1 extra provision, 16 in total. Then we've got the Arch Griffin, which got a buff. It's now 6 base power instead of 5. And also its provision cost
Wait,
is now for Pincer Maneuver. Pincer Maneuver now gets 1 extra provision, 16 in total.
Okay.
Then we've got the Arch Griffin, which got a buff. It's now 6 base power instead of 5. And also its provision cost is now decreased to 9, so it's easier to fit into your deck.
So 6 for 9, Arch Griffin. Still not good enough to just randomly play, right? What is the cost Arch Griffin needs to have? Just be a card that you put in NR decks that you don't just build around. Provisions matter way more than power in this case, right? But AA doesn't matter. The problem with Arch Griffin isn't being able to find Arch Griffin again. The problem with Arch Griffin is dies. Try to play him at 7. 4 is completely broken. 4P Arch Griffin would be nuts. Probably 5-2. Probably 6. Yeah, 7.
Justice
maybe.
for overwhelming hunger.
Pretty sure 9 is still too high even with 6 power. Hey, Southbend! Thanks for the Twitch Prime. Thanks for the 3 months. Welcome back. At 6 it dies way less? No, it's irrelevant to it dying. When it dies, it's signing total removal. You're boosting it up because you're incentivized to greed with it, and then your opponent plays like a Heat Wave or a Leo or 2 poisons, or they lock it. You're always boosting Arch Griffin the turn you play it if you're playing Arch Griffin. It's not dying to damage.
And build around. We've got a small change to Griffin Witcher, right? As you can see, it's this one, right?
No,
Ranger,
it's
the
the Griffin
Ranger.
with no Ranger, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. The bad one.
There's like notifications.
I hate this
popping
card.
up and distracting. Yeah, the Griffin Ranger now.
Got
two
formation.
power formation. I think that's the
Ugh. Oh, on and okay, so you target the row now. Okay.
keyword that you added to this card, which makes him, I guess, more flexible. Before you had to make sure to set him up properly, right?
Yeah, we also.
It's already
make sure
decent
that
from
the deploy-
Kaer
Now you can target which row is going to be affected because it used to be.
No more dissing people. Here's some wholesome dollaridos for the new patch.
Wait, why didn't that pop up on stream? Hey, underscore! Thanks for the hundo! I don't know where my notifications are. We heard them. Huh.
Locked to the row you were playing it, the opposing one. And adding formation would have been too clunky with that effect.
True. Makes sense. Makes him more flexible. Unlike
Yeah,
it.
we went over monsters.
And as for the other factions, we've got Margarita,
Actually, it was right.
which got a small buff because.
Well, currently it's
we have
opposite
blocks
row,
now.
right? Opposite row with formation would be
Margarita. Always love
super
myself a
awkward.
Margarita. 6 for 6 as well, with the added bonus that it's like it's an order, so you can
Okay.
play around it with your order archetypes, and obviously has zeal. So yeah, that is.
And it
Margarita.
doesn't bring devotion.
True. No devotion needed. That is very good. And finally, I think
Yeah,
we've
Lux
got
in general.
reinforced Trebuchet, which
Got
got the added
very
keyword
buffed.
crew, and that now reads crew damage a random enemy unit by 1
Margarita.
instead.
Well, they just
So
said why.
it's not
Synergy with
locked
order.
to the ranged row, and that's
Margarita's always been basically
Exactly.
deploy. It's had zeal order for
okay. I think
years.
that's it for Northern Realms right now. I think you also told me that you
Was
guys are
Treb buff?
aware
Oh, did I?
of the. I think that's it. Play around it with. And as for the other factions, we've got Margarita, which got a small buff because 6 for 6 as well around it with your order archetypes, and obviously has zeal. So yeah, that is.
And it
Margarita.
doesn't bring devotion.
True. No devotion needed. That is very good.
Oh.
And finally, I think we've got a reinforced Trebuchet, which got the added keyword crew, and that now reads crew damage a random enemy unit by 1 instead. So it's
Hey!
not locked to the ranged row in that sense, right?
Inspired's back.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that's it for Northern Realms right now. I think you also told me that you guys are aware of the power level of Northern Realms. It's not a weak faction in any sense, like the witches have found decent success on the ladder. But I think we're going to keep a close eye on that. Maybe you want to talk more about it.
Yeah, Biggie, you said everything. We're keeping them into observation. This is also the reason why there isn't too many changes to Northern Realm on this patch. I guess the last thing I want to mention about them is Arc Griffin. It's still a card that we want to believe in. So we made it more easy
What's the
to
max
run,
change?
both
Nope.
in terms of provision and in terms of tempo when played. And also being down from 10 to 9 mean that it's going to be able to be targeted by a card like Amphibian Assaults.
Perfect. All right. That is very good. I think we can continue with Squirtle next, the green faction. Now, for Squirtle, I think when I looked at the patch notes, my biggest takeaway was the change to Novigradian Justice, right? So I think
Okay.
we can.
Chat's
cover
been
that
ranting about
first.
this one. What did they do?
And it now reads: play a bronze dwarf or crown splitter from your deck. If you
Oh.
already control a dwarf or a crown splitter, also spawn a cleaver's muscle.
Yeah, this is like the most lukewarm change. This is
So
fine.
This basically requires setup.
Yeah, I mean, they make it so you can't just jam Justice Volunteers, which is totally reasonable. Notably, this is a nerf to Justice in the Dwarf deck too. Not getting the Cleaver's Muscle first, I think, means you don't get the points off Mahakam Guard. If you Justice into Guard. So it's like a 1-point nerf on most of your Justices in that deck, too. Pull Safecrackers. Oh, that's huge. Safecrackers a Crown Splitter. Yeah, big buff for it in Syndicate then. Depends on the ordering. Yeah, I don't know if Justice fully resolves first. If Justice fully resolved first, though, you would get the deploy on Volunteers, right? So it just doesn't work that way. Plus, Crown Splitter unit. I mean, it doesn't say that. Presumably, this would be any Crown Splitter card. Can't control specials. That's not the part they're talking about. Long after you select the card, but before you play it. I mean, regardless, we're talking about timing on deploys, right? Both guard and volunteers are deploys. Yeah, Blacksmith is a Crown Splitter. Brawler. You can already pull Brawler. But this makes it so you don't have to play the one-off Brawler anymore. Yeah, I mean, this was like the community change, right? Just have it spawn the muscle after the volunteers, so you can't pull the volunteers. It solves like the thing that's problematic about the card. Makes it less auto-include and more a card that you build your deck a certain way to make good. For collusion piles, Tutor's Friends. Oh. Yeah, this does a lot for Justice and Syndicate, adding Crown Splitter here. There weren't a lot of Syndicate Dwarves, but there's a good number of Syndicate Crown Splitters. Justice can be a spender. Justice can be a spender. It's sort of like a 10-piece spender. It's hard to get expensive spenders. It's like the reason Jacques is so good. Blacksmith. Yeah, Blacksmith, BGF, depending on what your deck's trying to do. No, update probably comes out in a couple hours.
Up now, instead of having the Cleaver muscle spawn first.
Well, it's when the season starts. You usually get the patch a little bit before then.
Thinning tools, like it was used most often, which now means that we have to play it in Dwarf decks. Is that right?
Yes. So Novigradian Justice was being played with Markham Defenders, so this 3 cards package, and we did not like its current state because it was an auto-include.
I don't have it open right now.
It was a 13-point slam, and it was thinning your deck by 2, which is
I mean, I imagine
overall.
It just can.
And so this change aims to make it more.
I would assume that it could pull the crime unless it said otherwise.
And hopefully to make it more reserved to dwarf decks.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for such a strong card to.
What did they do to max it? I don't want to like try to find it.
Other changes, we've got 2 small harmony changes. We've got Call of Harmony, which got a provision bonus. It's now 16 extra provisioned, and Dana is now 7 power instead of 6. The Cat Witcher has also got 7. A small buff. The Cat Witcher Saboteur is now 4 power instead of 3. the Cat Witcher itself has now Adrenaline 3 instead of
Which
4.
is a nerf.
That is a nerf, right? That is
Yes.
a nerf, because it now takes
That's
it takes
sure.
longer for it to block. Makes sense. Then also, as for the other factions, we've got the faction specific
Sure.
lock. Kjaran. Let's take a look. This is now a 5 for 6. And still has the lock unit moved to the other row. We've got Barclay Elves, another dwarf that got a little bit of a love. It's now only 6 provision instead of 6.
It's all a non-zero amount of play.
And we've got
Sort of fine and
Yorveth,
didn't get buffed as much.
which got a power increase. Yorveth, let's take a look. 4 power now instead of 3.
Yep.
We've got Yorveth's Gambit, which now only costs 12 provision instead of 13. And then I think we got 2 more. We've got Morin, right? Morin also a faction lock, now a 5 for 6 as well. And finally, we've got Venosiel's Commando, which got a provision change from 5 to 4, and that I think rounds out Skirtel. Remind me, is there anything I've missed? Is there anything you want to add?
Small things. We think that the Harmony deck is not that far from being meta, so this change both in terms of provision and power to the leader ability. We hope that it will tip the scale. Vernicial Commando was one of the portal engines, and we kind of forgot to bring it back to full powers.
Isn't it though? I don't know about that. I've played with and against a few Harmony decks. It feels really bad. I remember at one point on a leader where it wasn't even clear was the right leader for Harmony. Really does a whole lot in that regard. There's a water exchange. Is there? Did they just not say it yet?
And we kind of forgot to bring it back to full powers with the 8.0. Sorry, here it is.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Commando's cool.
I think after we are done with the elves and the dwarves, let's take a look at Nilfgaard, alright? Nilfgaard is up next. So, do you want to kick it off maybe and go through the first couple of changes that we had in mind?
Sure.
I think
I guess the first one is the change to the leader ability Imprisonment, which got a 1 provision buff from 15 to 16.
Okay. Whatever.
We changed
Whatever.
Alba Pikeman. We added Bounded, and it bounded the major random enemy unit by 1 instead, which kind of likes the Reinforced Trebuchet.
Cool. Whatever.
Remove the need, the row lock aspect of only eating one of the row. Hoax, one of the lock card of NG, was buffed from 5 for 7 to 6 for 6.
Whoa! Wait, you no longer have to play a bad card to play this package. What am I drinking? I have tea. Whoa! So, I don't know how easy it is to find room for this package, but this package is pretty efficient. We draw all the pieces, let those an 11 for 8 lock. Serret is a 9 for 7 with 4 points of removal. and then Ox is just your 6 for 6 lock. Just like a little bit below baseline, but nowhere near as bad as it was. Just Ox and Letha? Why wouldn't you play Seret? Seret was the good one. Like, a Letha that's just an 8 for 8 lock isn't very exciting. The deal 3 is a big deal. Seret's the good. Seret's always been the better half. Seret's probably still the better half. Seret was the more important one to draw. Get Nilfgaard to start next. The starter deck's pretty irrelevant. This doesn't change anything really. It's literally Ada. I mean, not literally Ada. You do need to still draw the Ox. The problem with this is still you need to draw everything. You lose a lot of value whenever you miss one of your 3 combo pieces, but when you draw all 3 of them, they are pretty powerful. Too bad they don't have adrenaline. That'd be cool if the adrenaline tutor was just a Witcher tutor.
We buffed Experimental Remedy. We changed it from a 6 provision special to 5.
Assimilate buff.
Small word on this one.
Spies buff.
Absence of use proved that it was too expensive for the 6 slot. So we think it's going to fit right in the 5-1, and we hope that...
This card doesn't see play, right? The Assimilate deck plays 1. Card's really good in the Assimilate deck. Being able to res a created informant is pretty disgusting. Yeah, this change is huge for Assimilate. It's relevant for spies. Assimilate can now play 2. Yeah. Mill also plays it. Yeah, Operator Mill plays it. Card is too expensive. It was good in the decks that it was good in. I never felt like Remedy was too expensive. I was always happy to pay 6 for it. In decks where it was good. Simulate's a cool deck except the ball part. The ball part, the Angeline part. Mostly the Angeline part is the part that I dislike about Assimilate. Places Diplo and Assimilate. I could see the ratios getting flipped. It just depends how the provisions work out. The Angeline part is the ball part. Fair. But yeah, when you're... Like, Remedy is almost always the best high roll off of Triss and Assimilate. One of your best engine procs in round 3. Just to play. Procs Assimilate twice, resing Informant. Like, this card's the reason you play Premium Informants. Yeah, I believe Remedy is a tactic.
It's going to get some used in the assimilate decks.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, Viper got its provision changed from
Lars
9
the
to
Hand
8.
of Justice
Yeah.
nerfs. A
8
bit.
provision now for the big snake. The big snake, nice.
Cool. This doesn't matter, right? Still, you don't actually play Viper in anything aside from memes. The Xavier change doesn't really matter for Viper. Whether you get 1 a turn or you just get 3 straight up, probably not the most relevant. The proc buff could matter. Or the power buff. Prop for 7 carryover. I mean, you get 7 base power. Xavier's a 6 for 6. You're messing with their graveyard, which could be relevant. It's not like you're only getting 7 carryover for 14p. What's the purpose of Viper? I don't know. I think it's just to be a cool card. But it is hard to make it work in a deck that isn't just some all-in meme.
Love to see it. Yeah, I think similar to Northern Realms, we are aware of the certain power level that some Nilfgaard decks have achieved right now, and I think there's especially 1 or 2 that are quite popular and people like to play it. I mean, Nilfgaard is always
Viper also
got a
buffed
big-
every lock, which is the biggest blowout versus Viper. It's less of a blowout than you'd think. Because if you're not doing anything to mess with the opponent's graveyard, the Viper is never coming out anyway. Like, locking Viper doesn't actually ever give you carryover. It just denies the opponent carryover. Dandelion Vainglory. Viper plus Remedies. Yeah, Remedy could get buffed.
player base, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it and make sure to adjust with the next patch if anything gets out of hand, right?
Maybe it's finally Caretaker's time to shine.
Nice. All right. So for the final faction, I'd say we'll talk about Syndicate next. There it is.
Very excited about this one.
Yeah. All right. I think people might have seen our background at the start of this video, so let's talk about it first. The Salamandra Mage. Where is he? There he is. Oh, I gotta talk to my people here. Make sure that I've got all the premiums here. We got an award. There it is. The Salamander Mage. Finally.
So that's not Adrenaline anymore.
It is now a 5/5 Tribute 4. Damaged 3 adjacent enemy units by 2. And whenever you pay a Tribute ability, gain 1 coin. Adrenaline 5.
Okay. So Tribute 4, effectively Tribute 2 if you're on Adrenaline, but you have to have the coins straight up. So Tribute 2 deals 6 damage with clunky distribution. So 9 for 5. Assuming max value, but you're probably not going to get 9 for 5 very often. Repay a tribute ability, gain 2 coins. So what, like Adriano, Jacques? If you're playing like Fence, trying to do King of Beggars stuff. This still doesn't work if King of Beggars reduces the tribute to 0. That hasn't changed. It's more confusing than bank. What? No, it's not. What's wrong with the text? Tribute leader, isn't it a 10 for 5? Yeah. You're reducing the tribute again. It's a 10 for 5 if you can damage 3 adjacent enemy units by 2. I don't know if you've played cards that require 3 adjacent enemy units without armor, but they never get full value. Especially this one, which you like kind of want to get down early. For the engine value. That said, I mean, 2 coins per tribute ability on a card plays for pretty good base rate.